Wow.
You will never attract somebody who's below you
or above.
Or who's above you.
Really?
So that person who's the devil incarnate, it tells you there's something about you that attracted the devil.
That is powerful.
You know, and that is attracting these people.
That's attracting the devil.
So stop blaming. I mean, if you marry the guy, if you're always attracted to guys and then you find the alcoholics, then ask yourself, what is it about you that is attracted to fixing broken people?
Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's the Sunday sermon. It's the 8th of December. The holidays are here. And we began a series on seasons based on Pastor Muriithi Wanjau's new book. And today we're going to talk about education because it's coming to it's a holiday season. And I think a lot of children now are on holiday. And this is very, very relevant. Hey, Pastor M, you should have sent me this book 3 weeks ago. I've just read something which is so amazing. Because it's saying in this chapter, we want to look at the second important season of life, the years of education, when one is aged between 11 to 25. But if you're at this stage in life, and this will be very useful to you. If you have children in this stage, you will hopefully get some helpful ideas. If you're past this stage, which I am, but this has resonated, I trust that you will still see areas where there are many cracks in your life that you can begin to address. I mean, I'm very shocked that your education stage is about friendship.
It is. And that's the thing that, again, many times we don't understand. You see, when you're getting to your teenage, which is your 13 to 20, and even past, it's high school, college. What happens is there's a shift. And you've had kids, so you know what I'm talking about. If you're a parent, you know when they're younger, you are the center of attention.
Yes.
What you say goes. You're the sun and the moon. You know, every word you say is just the word of God, you know. But what happens is from around 12, 13, they start getting their own self-awareness. They are self-conscious. They want to think, is what you said correct? They're looking for other reference points to see whether the values you taught them are actually true. And at that point, what becomes important is their peers. The people around them the people around you actually begin to determine what you think.
They begin to shape
what you say, your language, all that stuff. And if you think about it when you're younger, in your high school years, your buddies made you. You know, your college years, the people, what was cool for them all broke you. What was cool for them became cool. What was, the cool people everybody knew these were the cool people. It's like you have your own language at that point. And you know what? As parents, many times we're frustrated because we're trying to say the same things you said before, but it's all of a sudden like the kid is just not hearing you. Why? Because somebody else is speaking at that point. So the most important thing, we focus a lot again on education because you're trying to think, okay, if I just get them in the right school, if they just get the right grades, they get into the right Ivy League college, if I can just do that, then they'll be set. But what we don't realize as parents, the most important thing you should be worrying about, yes, worry about education, that's important. They do need to get to learn. And for me, education is not even about what they're learning. It's about the values the education is teaching them. What I want my kids to learn as teenagers, because I have teenagers, is I want them to learn to work hard. And resilience and grit. That's more important to me than any knowledge they're receiving from school. Because the knowledge I have in life right now, the stuff I learned in high school really doesn't influence what I do today. So it's not really what the actual content they learn in school that's important, it's the work habits they learn. But I think the most important thing for them at that stage is helping them learn how to make the right friends.
Yes, very important. Because when I look at my life, you see, now that's why that statement has really gotten me. Because when I look at my life, first of all, I think and I've said it a few times, there are people I should never have met. And I always realize that when I met these people, my life changed.
Something changed.
So
your folks had put some foundation, your folks had done well, they had given you all the stuff we were talking about last time, good foundation, work ethic, all that stuff. Then you met the wrong people.
Who took me off track and made me waste a lot of time. I wasted a lot of time and I made a lot of mistakes. So it's interesting to hear that, and I think people need to hear that this education stage of your child from 11 to 25 is really not about what they're learning.
It's not what they're learning.
It's about the values that they're getting. And it also makes sense because Althea, a lot of people would look at Althea and say, oh, which school does Althea go to? That would be the question. And Althea now, because she was also developing her own mindset at that time, used to say things which even used to make me breathe in. And she'd tell them there's nothing like good schools. They're only good parents.
Ooh,
That would be
that
her
is a
response.
child who understands. She has wisdom. That's wisdom, right?
Imagine,
because I would say exactly the same thing. I mean,
she said there's no such thing.
Wisdom beyond her years.
She said there's no such thing as good education.
Yeah.
There's only good parents.
Good parents. Yeah. I mean, the schools in Nairobi, high schools nowadays, you pay for them. It's like an Ivy League school. You enter college and there's no difference. I mean, the fees you're paying actually is cheaper than many of us. Is more expensive than many of the local colleges here. And many times we have this impression that the right school will get them the right
or the
connections.
More expensive the school.
The more expensive the school, the better they'll become. But I've just come to understand sometimes what you're doing is just you're outsourcing your role.
Yes.
And that other person, they're a commercial entity.
Yes.
They want to get those grades because they know that that's what gets them more students. So they're not necessarily thinking about values. They're not thinking about teaching your children how to make the right friends. And you know, the thing about life is, you think about this whole big buzz nowadays about emotional intelligence. What is that? People came to understand that the major promotion factor in life nowadays is not the knowledge you have. It's actually your ability to get along with people and to get them to do stuff for you. That's what the people in the office who do well are the ones who are able to get other people to collaborate with them. You get everybody excited about doing the same thing. Then you get the project done. It's not the knowledge you had in school that gets you that. It's your emotional intelligence.
That is so true.
And at this stage, teenage is when emotional intelligence is best formed.
Wow.
You know, it's when you learn to be a friend. It's when you learn. The Bible says, "He who wants friends must first show themselves friendly." This is when you actually learn to be friendly. You know. So one of the things we teach our kids is we say, "Look, don't try and be with the in crowd." And we've tried to model this for them. It's like, who are the kids who nobody accepts?
Yes.
Why is it that nobody accepts them? What would it be like if you're the one who went out to them and reached out to them and helped them understand that there's a purpose that they're in that school for?
Imagine.
And what happens is, you start to do that, you become a leader. Right, Ben? Because people are attracted to the child who includes. You know, not the one who excludes. But nobody taught us those things. So we're trying to fit in the clique. We're trying to be the cool kids. And the clique obviously was always doing the wrong thing.
Always,
you know?
Always.
And so how do you start teaching your kids to be leaders as they're teenagers?
And not to necessarily fit in.
Not to try to fit in. So I think there are proactive things parents can do. I mean, one of the things that I've found parents doing, which I think is so commendable, we've tried to do this as well, is to look for friends who have common values or whose kids have common values, and then inconvenience yourself. Those guys may not be the people you would normally befriend, but because their kids are the kind of people you want your kids hanging out with, make friendship with those people.
That is so
inconvenience
true.
Yourself to be in their life so that your kids can be together. Because then what you're doing, you're forming groups. It's interesting. Our kids ended up, our family friends became their friends. So where Kara and I invested in relationship, those kids became our kids' friends. So there are things you can do proactively as a parent to make sure your kids are forming friends who shape them correctly in the right direction. You know?
Yeah, but I think that's powerful. That this stage of life is about forming emotional intelligence and forming friendships. So that is very key, and people need to look at it that way.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You know, somebody once said.
Wow, so that's education.
And so it's also even just understanding now, so what kind of friends should you be looking for? So we talk about that with our kids. Like, even, I mean, like, this is a stage when if you did a good job of forming good relationship and values when they were younger, there's a friendship. So even though my kids don't take everything I say as gospel truth, let me tell you, teenage humbles you as a parent. Huh?
Teenage, try 25. there's a level of humility which is coming past them,
teenage, they're
and
just
helplessness.
in your home.
They're just looking and saying, what?
You see, 25, you're not a baby. But teenage, you're still, in a sense, you still can see this person still a baby. Huh? But they're formed so much in their thinking that you tell them something and you can already see them weighing weighing
what to take and what not to take.
And sometimes you can tell they've already dismissed what you're saying, you know. But the beauty is, if you're friends, and I saw you do this with Althea, if you're buddies with your kids, in other words, they can tell you everything. So we have conversations with our kids. We talk about, who are you dating, who's the guy you're interested in, and why. You know? And we talk about, so what values have informed that decision? What kind of people should you be looking for to date, but also to be friends? And we talk about those things with them because we're trying to teach them to have value-adding friendships. Be with people who add value to you and who you can add value to. You know, there's some people who add negative value. And you need to actually, and so there are people actually, we've said to our kids, you need to actually change that friendship. And it's drastic enough. I've seen people actually moving their kids' school And parents doing that, not because the grades were not working, not because it was that, but
because
they saw a wrong click
people.
And they said there are certain people that we need to move this child away
And then,
from.
with some people that becomes worse. It's like for us, by God's grace, we're delivered out of those addictions, and the addiction didn't become so bad. But, when you get in the wrong click, things, and especially when I think now things are more dangerous.
Huge.
There's an issue of drugs. There's probably alcohol involved.
Yes.
There's maybe pornography.
Definitely.
But, maybe there's some kind of abuse.
So there's just addictions that you're opening up your child to because of the wrong friendships.
So I would move my child's school because it's not working.
Exactly.
But I think another one,
but also teaching them to be proactive in making those friends. And understanding that's a good friend.
Yeah. That's
this one,
a good
stay
friend.
away from.
Yeah. And why?
And why?
Exactly.
Because the why is very important.
The why is also very important. Teenage years. But I'm wondering how we now tweak that for people who didn't get that emotional intelligence. For me, I know what I'm doing is because what I'm doing now is really looking at why do I make the decisions that I make? Why do I struggle with the things that I struggle? And trying to make steps of how to rectify.
Yes.
How to rectify that.
That's good. So it's self-awareness. It always starts with self-awareness.
Self-awareness again.
It's interesting because in the Psalms, David prayed, "Search me, O God, know my heart, test me, know my anxious thoughts."
Yes.
And I always find that's the beginning of self-awareness, when I ask God to show me my anxiety. Because my anxiety always reveals my false beliefs. So when I begin to realize, even as an adult, when you find yourself in the office kissing up, kicking down.
Yep.
That's very common. It's like when you're the messenger, you're the guard. It's like you almost want to slap the guy. You talk so rudely. When you see the boss, you change. And you're two different people. And even your colleagues are confused because they don't know who you are. Because one minute you're talking badly and then the boss enters, you've changed and you become... People can read you're a politician. That's actually because you don't have emotional intelligence. You haven't learned that that's actually a toxic way of relating. That will only take you so far. So as you begin to understand these things about yourself, as you begin to realize people don't naturally want you on your team. You've learned these Machiavellian things of cutting down people. So when people have a choice to sit with people, they don't even want to invite you into that space because you're just not a healthy person to be around. So you can actually begin to understand these things and to realize even the influence I've had, the people who've hung around me, what has been their end? Have I influenced people unto life? Have I influenced people unto death? I think as an adult, you actually can begin to catch yourself and to say, my goodness, this is the direction I'm heading won't end well for me. It won't. And I can actually make a decision now. What kind of relationships should I be in? What kind of friends do I need to actually separate from? Yes. Because they're leading me in the wrong way. There's some girls who always end up with the wrong guys. Always. And part of it is that.
And you're always the common denominator. I always say that. Yes. Because you may be the 5 wrong guys, but the common person in all those 5 wrong guys.
And it's not just girls, it's guys as well. You're always dating the wrong woman.
So you need to make the changes. So you need to start looking inside
and say, what is it about me that's attracting the wrong people to my life?
Yes.
Because it's not always about them, And also there are people who are married and your spouse is a devil incarnate. You talk about the marriage and it's like he did. You can't believe what she did. But I don't understand this woman. But the question I always say, and it's not even that. I remember one professor teaching us when I was in seminary. One professor, when I was doing a psychology class, really blew it up because he said, "You always marry at the level of your intelligence."
Wow.
You will never attract somebody who's below you
or above,
or who's above you.
Really?
So that person who's the devil incarnate, it tells you there's something about you that attracted the devil.
That is powerful.
And that is attracting these people.
That's attracting the devil.
So stop blaming. I mean, if you marry the guy, if you always attracted to guys and then you find the alcoholics, then ask yourself, what is it about you that is attracted to fixing broken people? Because that's a dysfunction. We don't actually understand. That's called codependence. So codependent people always attract alcoholics. So as opposed to blaming that husband of yours for being such a loser, start asking yourself, what do I need to change about myself? Because when I change, then he will have to change. He'll understand. What happens is we're 2 children in the marriage. He slaps me, I slap him back. And it might not be physical slaps. It may be just that he comes drunk, then I pick up things after him, I react, there's this drama happening.
I go out next weekend, I don't come back.
So we are playing this game. When you stop playing the game yourself and start working on you, and just realize I can't change him, so let me work on me.
Let me work on me.
By the way, what happens is that guy will eventually have to change because he'll realize there's only one child left in this marriage, and it's not
me.
her, it's me. You know. So I think one of the things that I tell people, this is all emotional intelligence. When you find yourself trapped in those bad relational habits, it's a foundation that was cracked when you were in that young age.
Yes.
You need to come back now and start saying, what self-awareness? How do I ask God to help me understand where I'm broken? So I can start to fix that.
That is so powerful. For me, you're even healing me. I've been doing a lot of introspection and yes, being self-aware, but I think there's a lot more, because I remember even, I think at around class 5, I've just remembered, or there was a break in my relationship and nobody would talk to me. And I think I didn't learn how to relate with people. And
that's that age. You see, 12, you're entering now into that stage. And that's when you need a parent to speak into you and tell you, hey, you're lonely, you're isolated, what's happening? Let me show you some skills to make friends, you know? So we try and teach our kids, here's how you make friends. We would actually teach them. So I even remember my wife and I coaching our kids and saying, so when you meet them, what do you tell them?
What do you say?
So they'd say something and you're like, no, that's about you. How about you start by asking about them?
About them.
Find out what they're interested in, what music are they listening to. And it's like, those are skills. And then they start learning how to, and what happens when you start asking people about them, they open up.
It's true.
And then they come away saying, that was an amazing person I just met. You don't realize why they're so amazing. It's because they made you feel good.
And they asked about you.
They asked about you. So just teaching those skills becomes so vital, because when you don't learn them, then what happens? I mean, in a case like yours, you can end up becoming a place where you now have to prove yourself. And what happens to girls in that situation? You end up now flirting or going with the wrong guys. Why? Because you're trying to fit in.
It's so true.
Because you don't have a sense of self. So such an important stage.
It's very, very important. And I think for me, one of the greatest discoveries I made, I think it was either this year or last year that I've been really working on, is that I'm enough. Because what also that made me was a people pleaser. So I would please people or play you up to, I mean, I could now work on you. So I had all sorts of, I'm dealing with people differently, but it's because I don't feel like I'm inadequate enough. So that's a part of my life that I've been really
so you're working on it now. You're working on the foundation that wasn't fixed then. I think for me, one of the things I struggled with is the school I went to Patch, and we were taught to be players. We're taught to, we were actually cultured. The school taught us. I mean, the boys, they taught us how to mess around with girls' emotions, how to have many girlfriends. And it was an inadequacy in you. You're trying to fit in, so you're taught to be that. And I still see guys in their 40s, in their 50s, acting the same way, still trying to fit in and prove that you're a man by running around with different women. And again, for me, I remember at one point, one of my pastors, Pastor Oscar, who was my mentor, I mean, he really slapped me one day, because what he told me is, when he said, Muriithi, there are two types of men. He had seen me going out with another girl, then he saw me going out with another one in his church. So he called me one day, told me, so is that one? That? And I was like, no, they're all just friends, you know. He told me there are two types of men. There are those men who lead men, and there are those men who run after women.
Wow.
And he says, you're going to have to choose which one you want to be.
Wow.
By the way, from that day I decided, done.
Those who lead men and those who chase after women.
Yes. And I was the latter, for sure. I chased after women. And so I think that you need somebody in your life who can just speak sense. And that's the role of a parent, to speak sense, because they're aware. But we're too busy. We're in the office. We're trying to make a living. We're trying to make money to take them to that expensive school so they can have a nice car, so the kids can be happy. We don't realize what they need is not that.
And you know, it's just like something, I guess in the next stage, I hope we start with that for preparation. Because you see, Pastor, now that I have a 25-year-old, I'm so glad that I had the time. Because when she was 10, I was serving in church and I had the time to be with her. Because we don't realize that we need to spend time with our children. There's no other need that is going to... It's such a short window that we have with them that we're supposed to pour everything into them that's going to make them better citizens. And I always think, will your children be able to live without you in this world?
That's exactly.
Will they be able, when you pass on, or if something happens, are they gonna, first of all, okay, independence, maybe there's a level of independence and you're still around, sort of, but when you're not here, what are your children going to do?
But I mean, your kids have been to other countries, you're not there. So it's almost like you're training them from day one to live without you. And that's what it's about.
But there's so many who don't.
And that's why for me, seasons is so important. Just understanding your season and what your issues are, but then also understanding your kids' seasons. And being able to say, okay, there's some things I have to take a career
break or check because I need to
I will
focus
not take that
on my
promotion
child.
because this will take it's a fantastic career opportunity, but this is going to hurt my ability.
Yes.
These kids are not always there.
To raise this
And
child.
when you're young, you think that, you have to do it now. But then you realize, taking 5 years, slowing down my career a little bit so that I can have more access to my family.
It's very important.
I will still have many years, to do the things I want.
You see, like now, that's what I'm saying.
Here you are. You're thriving. Your child is out of the house.
My child is out of the house doing her things.
But you're now
and
hitting your groove.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But we it's like and maybe it's the plan of the enemy where we make the wrong choices for the wrong season. It's like there's a season, like for here, the book you said from 11 to 25, there has to be a focus on that child.
Yeah.
That is like no other. So that you prepare them for the world. I know we're running out of time, but it's like, I think even people don't even prepare. Maybe we'll talk about in preparation, but they don't even prepare their children to go overseas. And then you send them. You send them to predators. You send them into a world that is crazy. So you're not doing yourself any favors. You've got to send them so that they're able to live and to thrive in another country when you're not there.
Absolutely.
But the ones we've seen, they're making all sorts of crazy mistakes. And the world is not, our world was selfish.
No, the world is not kind.
The world is not kind.
Kind, it's not forgiving.
One gentleman who was Althea's boss in LA told me, he said, I wanted to meet you because he came to Kenya. He said, I wanted to meet you because he said in Los Angeles, out of 10 people, 9 are evil. But your child managed to meet the one. She needed to meet, all the people she met was the one out of the 10.
Nice.
So it was like I needed to know who this was.
Well, I was a pastor in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So I pastored there for several years. And I can tell you, it's absolutely true.
That's what he said.
And many Kenyans send their kids there. So I became a pastor by default. I didn't plan to be a pastor.
Really?
I just found myself surrounded by many young Kenyans who had been sent exactly the way you've described. Finished from good schools, dumped in America with go and now make a living. And many of them were in dire straits. A mess. Living in a way that nobody at home could even guess.
I know.
And for several years, Pastor Kara and myself, we just poured into these kids because we're in such a mess. So I'm fully convinced that you need to train your children to be global leaders now, because that's what you're actually,
and
that's
global
what you want
citizens,
and global citizens
and able to exist
anywhere.
What's
in
the world doing?
Exactly.
I still out there sometimes I'm punishing you so that you are able to live in the world. I want you to be able to live anywhere in the world and with anyone.
I want to
well,
train
that
you
time
so
I didn't understand the language, but I would really discipline her. And I tell her this discipline is so that you can live anywhere.
Exactly.
You can live anywhere with anyone.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what it is.
I don't even know how to end this. Maybe prayer. Prayer is what we need. And I'm telling you, I think Pastor, you're not going to pray. I don't have any energy for prayer.
My job.
Please pray for the people. Because it's parents, December is here, holidays are here. People have to rethink their thoughts as we're going into a new year. So just help them to pray through that.
Let's pray. Lord, I just want to pray for everyone listening to this broadcast, anybody who is in a space, maybe even they're discouraged as they hear what we're talking about, because they look back in their own lives and they see the cracks, they see the flaws, they see the challenges in their foundations. And right now they're thinking, oh my goodness, what do I do? I thank you because you're a God of a second chance. I thank you because, Lord, you do not leave us where we are, but Lord, you are able to elevate us, and that, Lord, even the mess in our lives can become the message that will bless the next generation. And so I pray for that person who's discouraged right now, and I pray that, Lord, you'd give them grace. And I'm so glad they're watching this now, because this is the right time, the right season for them to hear this message. And I pray that even you'd show them the steps they need to take to begin to walk that direction of purpose and of fixing the foundation. I pray for any parents who are watching this broadcast as well. For the parents, I pray for you that God himself would give you wisdom, he'd give you counsel, he would help you to be willing to go against the flow, so that you'll not be like everyone else, so that your children will also not be like everyone else. And so I just speak God's blessing upon all the children, the parents watching this, that your children will be blessed and that they will be great, they will be the head and not the tail, they will be everything that God created them to be. For we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. God bless you. Have a reflective Sunday, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.